Hello everybody, welcome back to Reaper Minis TV. We're going to start off this episode with what I promised to show you. That's going to be the Warriors of Chaos army for Warhammer Fantasy Battle that I'm building using Reaper miniatures. As we're looking at the army, you will see figures from ranges other than Reaper, but very few of them. It's going to be probably more than 90% Reaper, and really the extra figures are just because, as most of you are, I'm a fan of cool miniatures, so you're going to see some things in here from other ranges, but it's going to be very limited. And now we're going to get a little closer look at the different units I've got in the army itself. And here we're going to zoom in on the unit of Marauders that I've got first. Now, I'm using mostly barbarian looking miniatures here. Here's the front line of figures, which will have the leader, the standard, and the musician. For the standard bearer, I'm using a mercenary sergeant. His name is Grundor Hordetaker, and the original miniature has a mace in his left hand, so I've clipped that off right above his wrist, and I'm going to put a Warriors of Chaos banner pole there. And then over here for the musician, I've already done the conversion. This is Devin Dunhouse, another mercenary, and he normally has a sword in the arm where you see the horn, but I just clipped that off, put the plastic arm and horn on him from a plastic GW Marauder. And then we have Aemon, a Viking warrior, as the leader of the unit of Marauders. He's sort of leaping off of a crumbling wall, and I think that adds a little bit of extra neat detail to his base. And you can see as we look over the entire unit, I've got 45 Marauders here. Could easily be opened up to a unit of 50. Just to round it out, I can run them 5 wide or 10 wide in horde formation with no problem whatsoever. I do have a wizard in there, just to add a little bit of magical punch if I want to, or I can just swap him out with another barbarian type figure. Okay, we'll move on to our next unit now, and we're going to zoom past these guys in the middle. We'll be back to them in a second, and we're going to settle in to look at a unit of Chaos Warriors. For the Chaos Warriors, what I've done is taken miniatures that I think are cool looking and are in heavy armor or pretty heavy armor, and what's going to tie them together, in my mind at least mostly, is I'm going to paint all the armor to be the same color, so they're going to have a unifying color for the unit, even though every figure in there is going to be pretty significantly different from every other figure in the unit. For this unit, I'm going to use Requius Death Warden as the leader of the unit. He was a little bit difficult to get onto a 25 by 25 base. I had to do a good amount of clipping to the integral base that comes with the figure, but he did fit on there on an angle. And then as the musician, I'm going to have Balthon. He's an Overlord Cleric, and he's carrying a censer in one hand and a mace in the other. And instead of him having an instrument or something, I'm going to have him chanting as the musician, just kind of leading everybody on with some kind of evil, chaotic chant. And then for the standard, we're going to use Athak. He's a Necropolis Sergeant, and I'm going to cut off the top of his two-handed mace, or the big weapon that he's got there, and have a very high chaos battle standard that he's going to carry in that hand. And then just as a little bit more unique feature to this unit, I've taken a Pillar of Evil, and I'm using that in the very back rank of the army, and that'll be removed as a casualty, as the first casualty, but just having that as a little bit of a filler or something unique to have in the unit. Okay, and over to the middle unit now. This is going to be my unit of Chaos Chosen, and I've decided to use various Oriental or Asian, I'm not sure which term is more politically correct for miniatures, but anyway, they're going to be Oriental looking miniatures that are going to be my Chaos Chosen. And then this unit is going to consist of 20 figures, including full command and a wizard. And for the Chaos Sorcerer or Wizard, for this unit, I'm going to be using a Chronoscope figure called Zhang Lung. He's a Chinese villain, and I think he's going to do really well as the sorcerer for the unit. Some of the figures in this unit are recent releases. Some are from back when Reaper was doing the L5R miniatures, and then some are Chronoscope, some are Dark Heaven Legends, but I think they all go together really well, and it's going to make for a unique unit on the battlefield. Okay, now over here into the back, we have the unit of Chaos Ogres, or what I'm going to use for Chaos Ogres, and you can see it's made up mostly of Reaper Ogres. There's also a couple of non-Ogres in here, and the ones that are Reaper miniatures I'll give you details on. Over on the far left we have a Cyclops, and that's normally part of my Revan army, but I pulled the little goblin caster off of the back of him because he doesn't really fit for the Chaos army, but I'll probably magnetize him back on so I can drop him into either game I'm playing. But I've got a Cyclops over there, and then close behind him, but over to the right a little bit, there's an Etten. And there's lots and lots of different Reaper miniatures you could drop in here. They do have another Etten you could drop into a unit like this. There's several ogres and mountain trolls and things like that that you could really make a cool unit of Chaos Ogres or regular ogres out of if you were doing an Orcs and Goblins army. Over here you can see 5 individual characters, but I'm only going to talk about 3 of them in any kind of specifics because those are the only 3 Reaper miniatures that I've got over here. And the first one, you can see Orba Sinan up in the upper left-hand area, and he's a warlord mercenary, and I think he looks really good as a barbarian, maybe kind of Mongol character to be used in the Warriors army, probably over with the Marauders on the tabletop because he probably fits in with their look a little better. And then I've got the Ifriti Emir that I'm going to use as a Chaos Lord, and he's going to be a combat build to where he just wades into things and kills everything that he touches. He'll probably get dropped into the unit of Chaos Warriors just for some added punch and protection from them. And then the guy on the magic carpet is Balazar. He's a Pathfinder figure. He's the iconic summoner for Pathfinder. He does not normally come with the flying carpet, but you can get that separately from Reaper, and I'm either going to use it as a flying carpet or as a disc of Tzeentch for him to fly around on. So you could get more flying carpets to use as discs in this army. I think it'd be a pretty cool look on the battlefield to have a bunch of sorcerers on flying carpets zooming around. I'm going to be using 2 Faceless Horrors as Chaos Spawns for the army, and even though they're a bit random in the game and well, can't really count on them to do a whole lot, they are unpredictable and just might throw your enemy off a little bit. Then over for a Giant, I'm going to be using Krug, the Hill Giant Chieftain, and really you could look through Reaper's catalog and find any giant that would be suitable to use in a Chaos army, in an Orcs and Goblins army, any army that has the availability of a giant, you could find a really suitable one that fits your liking, because Reaper has so many of them and they all look excellent. So that's the basis of this all-metal army I'm going to be building, or, well, as you can see here, pretty much have built. There's still a little bit of construction to do on it, but basically it's done. It's going to easily be anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 points once you add magic items and extra bits of gear here and there for the heroes and stuff like that. So it's going to be point-wise, very playable. What's missing from it are Chaos Knights. Not really sure what to do for those yet, or even to include them at all, but I've seen them used to great effect in Warhammer, so I'd like to put together some Chaos Knights. Juggernauts, I'm thinking of using the Reptus Krungbeast as the base of a Juggernaut, and then just getting a humanoid or a human figure in heavy armor and modifying it a little bit to use as a Exalted Champion or a Chaos Lord on a Juggernaut, because again, those are pretty useful in the game. My big stumbling block here are Hell Cannons. I love the heck out of them. I just don't have anything here yet to use from Reaper's catalog as a Hell Cannon, so I just might leave those out entirely. I am toying with using a Chaos Dragon a little bit, and if I do put one of those in the army, I'm definitely going to use the Jabberwock from the Pathfinder line. I think it looks awesome. It's a very bizarre looking dragon that looks, well, not a dragon, it's a Jabberwock, but anyway, it'll be my Chaos Dragon. I think it looks awesome and should be stunning on the tabletop. Okay, everybody, now we're going to get back into regular Reaper reviews in the next episode, but what I wanted to show you here was that for just about any fantasy game you're playing, even a massive tabletop game like Warhammer Fantasy Battle, where you have big blocks of units, you can probably get everything you need for a very suitable and unique looking army from Reaper's catalog. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.